My name is Carla Brown, and today I'm going to walk you through the things I made in 2025. The first thing I made in 2025 was this world map quilt. I had purchased this panel of the map from Walmart probably 20 years ago, and I was going through my fabric at the beginning of the year, probably like you are doing now, and I was trying to decide what to give away. And I loved this panel so much, I said, you know, make it into the map. Do it. Go for it. If you want to see the back, dun, 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 you can see I have hand quilted along all the lines, all the latitude and longitude lines. And why did I want to make this other than the fact that I had the panel and I just really wanted to do it? Mostly because I'm a high school teacher and I teach students from all around the world, and I wanted to show them that I view myself as a global citizen, and hopefully they do too. This is the second thing I made in 2025. This is one of my rugs that I make from Upcycled t-shirt collars, cuffs, and waistbands. And I was very lucky. In last January, a whole bunch of people found my channel, which was very cool. And I really appreciate you all watching my videos. And this particular video, this one where I show how I make this rug, was very, very popular. And people put all these very helpful comments. And one of the comments that I received was a suggestion of how to do the ends differently than I was doing it in that video. In that video, I just tied off the ends with knots, and a nice commenter reminded me that actually you can do it like this. I knew how to do it this way from when I was a little girl, but I had forgotten. So now all my rugs like this have this beautiful edging along the edge. And I'm very grateful to all the people who watch my videos, and especially those who remind me of things I knew but have now forgotten. If you would like to know how to make one of these rugs from the t-shirt scraps, you can go find that video in the list down below this video. The next thing I made in 2025 was this orange fluffy rug. This is my favorite thing to make, but very time consuming. It's made all from recycled t-shirts. And I did a video about how I dye t-shirts, particularly ones that are white or light gray, so that, for example, when I didn't have enough orange t-shirts, but I wanted to make an all orange rug, that I could dye them. So, it's so heavy. This rug is about 8 pounds, so it's about 50 t-shirts. And you can see the back is very beautiful as well. And again, if you want to know how to make this kind of rug, I have a tutorial video that is very popular on YouTube that you can watch. Oh, so heavy, so fluffy. The next thing I made this year was this storage box. And I have a video up showing how I make storage boxes, but let me just point out a few cool things about this one. So I had, you know, when I was first learning how to do hexagon anything, I made a bunch of hexagons, and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I tried my best. And I made a bunch of pink hexagons, and I started sewing them together, but then I realized I didn't really want a very pink quilt. So I had all these leftover pink hexagons. They were actually sewn together in a quilt-ish top, but I realized I was never gonna finish that as a quilt top. So I took it apart and I put it together put it on this box. So the way I did it was I sewed, well, first of all, I calculated how big to make the sides so that the hexagons would fill it up really nicely like this. And then I cut out the panels from this type of interfacing. I'll go get it to show you. So it's this kind of interfacing. It's kind of a thicker interfacing. It's feels a bit like felt-ish. I have a video where I talk about which exact type it is. So you can cut it to whatever size you want. So I cut it to the right size so that the hexagons fit. And then I sewed these directly onto that white interfacing. I actually sewed it by hand because I like doing things by hand, but you could do it by machine. And then to put inside and on the bottom, I have all these upholstery samples that people have given me, and they often come in groups of 5 or 6. So this was a set that there was 6, so I have one for each side and one on the bottom and one on this bottom. And I didn't really have a plan to make those into a quilt, so I thought, oh, that'll be good lining for the box. So first I hand sewed this on, then I attached it. As you can see, there's some quilting here, but this doesn't actually go all the way through the interfacing. It just sort of goes into the interfacing enough to attach this on, and then I sew all the panels together, and then the piece along the top I actually do last so that it doesn't pop open. You can see that one goes like that. So then I have this nice storage box, and I have quite a few of these. You can see some of them over there on my shelf. I use them to store my fabric scraps or whatever things I'm using for projects these days. The next project I made was an upcycled necktie quilt. You can see this side has pretty large hexagons, and then this side has the same neckties but smaller hexagons, and that's because neckties are wider at the bottom and more narrow at the top, and so from one tie I would get both small and large hexagons. So I did the math to figure out, could I make a quilt where there was neckties on both the front and the back using the same neckties? And I could. And you can see there's some hand quilting there, and also the binding is made out of neckties, the really skinny strip part of the neckties. And I have a video that I show you how to upcycle neckties into quilts. It goes into great detail, so if you think this looks fun, check it out. Now this is the Halloween rug that I made in October from, again, upcycled t-shirt parts. And I just washed it, and so yes, you can wash it. I washed it all by itself in the washing machine, and that was okay. It's pretty heavy right now because it's still kind of wet, but you can wash them in your home washer. It's actually one of the first times I've done that with these kinds of rugs. And this is how it looks after 2 to 3 months on my porch. So it's a bit beat up, but it's doing all right, and it still has bright orange colors. So I still love it very much. The next thing I made was this little Christmassy quilt. I challenged myself. I had a bunch of these red scraps that were very odd shapes and sizes left over from somebody's project, and I had less, but still also some of this green scraps, also odd sizes. And so what you might not notice at glance is how much these hexagons are pieced. If you look at that one, you can see it. So I was using every little tiny piece of these scraps in order to get enough to make this quilt. I used up like every teeny weeny little bit of those scraps, and then I alternated it with these green hexagons. And I love how it's kind of hard because of the way the pattern is all put together. You really can't tell what's going on unless you look really up close. But I love the overall feeling of it. And on the back, it's just red and it's hand quilted. And you can see that there. That's actually like a red flannel on the back. So, you know, my goal is to buy no new fabric. So I'm always trying to think of fabric projects to use up all the little tiny scraps that I have been given over the years, and this one used up some of my Christmas scraps. And it could be a table quilt, but also I thought if I don't end up using it for that, I can just go like this and I could make it into a gift bag. So this is going to be my last project for 2025. I mean, it won't be finished this year, but it's really close. And it is a beautiful hexi quilt made out of all sorts of old-fashioned fabrics or reproduction type fabrics. And yeah, that'll probably be in my video for next year when I finish it in 2026. I think it's really helpful to make year-end videos like this because if you're like me, you might forget when you made things. And it's good to document little fun stories about each piece. So I encourage you to make a what did I make this year video as well. I'd love to see it. If so, make sure you put it in the comments. And I hope that you had some chances to make some beautiful things this year. I'm actually amazed I did this much. I didn't think I had any time for crafting this year, and clearly I did. So yay, make time for crafting, make time for art in 2026, and I hope you have a wonderful new year.